Imagine this. It is the year 170 AD. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the known world, sits alone in his tent on the frozen banks of the Danube River. Outside, 200,000 Roman soldiers await his command. The Germanic tribes have been raiding the empire's borders for years. Plague is devastating his army. His closest advisors have betrayed him. And tomorrow, he must make decisions that will determine whether Rome survives or falls. And what does he do? He opens a journal, and he writes to himself about his own mind. "Today I escaped from anxiety," he writes. Or rather, I discarded it, because it was within me in my own perceptions, not outside. The most powerful man on earth, facing pressures most of us cannot imagine, teaching himself how to stop overthinking. That journal would become Meditations, one of the most important philosophical texts ever written. And the techniques Marcus developed 20 centuries ago are exactly what you need today. Because let's be honest, your mind is probably working against you right now. Not because you're weak, not because something is wrong with you, but because no one ever taught you how to use it properly. You lie awake at night replaying conversations that happened years ago. You imagine disasters that never come. You analyze decisions until you're paralyzed. You worry about things completely outside your control. And the cruel irony? The more intelligent you are, the worse it gets. Because a powerful mind without proper training is like a sports car with no steering wheel, all that horsepower just driving you in circles. The Stoics understood this trap, and they built a systematic method for escaping it. So what exactly is overthinking? It's not deep thinking. It's not careful analysis. Those are valuable. Overthinking is when your mind runs in loops that produce no useful output. It's mental wheel spinning, energy expended, nothing gained. Seneca described it perfectly nearly 2,000 years ago. He wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that. How many times have you tortured yourself over something that never happened? How many sleepless nights spent worrying about outcomes that never materialized? How many hours lost to replaying events you cannot change? The Stoics identified 3 forms of destructive overthinking. First, rumination about the past. Replaying conversations, rehearsing regrets, analyzing what you should have done differently. The past is fixed. It cannot be edited. Yet the mind returns to it obsessively, like pressing on a bruise. Second, anxiety about the future, imagining disasters, preparing for every possible negative outcome, creating elaborate mental scenarios of failure and loss. The future is uncertain. Always. Yet the mind tries to control it through endless speculation. Third, paralysis in the present. Analyzing decisions until action becomes impossible. Seeking perfect information before moving. Waiting for certainty that never comes. All 3 forms share something in common. They involve thinking about things outside your control. And that's the key insight the Stoics built everything upon. Epictetus put it simply: some things are within our power, and some things are not. This is not a philosophical abstraction. This is a practical tool, and once you truly understand it, everything changes. Why does your brain overthink in the first place? The Stoics had an answer for this too, one that modern neuroscience has confirmed. Your mind evolved to protect you. It scans for threats. It tries to predict danger. It replays negative experiences so you can learn from them. In the ancient world, this made sense. If a tiger almost killed you yesterday, you'd better remember exactly how it happened. If winter is coming, you'd better worry about food now. But here's the problem. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. When you worry about a difficult conversation with your boss, your body responds as if a predator is hunting you. Stress hormones flood your system. Your heart rate increases. Your sleep suffers. And the modern world has given your ancient brain an infinite supply of things to worry about. News feeds designed to trigger fear. Social media showing everyone else's highlight reels. Economic uncertainty. Health concerns. Global events you cannot influence. Your brain treats all of it as immediate threats requiring urgent analysis. So it thinks, and thinks, and thinks. Marcus Aurelius saw this clearly, even without modern neuroscience. He wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." The solution is not to stop thinking. That's impossible. The solution is to direct your thinking toward what actually matters. To spend your mental energy on things you can control. And to recognize quickly when you've wandered into territory where thinking accomplishes nothing. Here's what you're going to learn in the next 2 hours. You're going to understand exactly why your mind works against you and how to make it work for you instead. You're going to learn the fundamental Stoic distinction between what you control and what you don't. Not as an abstract concept, but as a practical filter you can apply to every thought that enters your head. You're going to discover Marcus Aurelius's morning practice, a 5-minute routine that can transform how your entire day unfolds. You're going to learn Seneca's technique for dismantling worry before it spirals out of control. You're going to understand why perfectionism is the fuel that keeps the overthinking engine running, and exactly how to break free from it. You're going to learn how to make decisions without endless deliberation, how to act without perfect information, how to move forward when uncertainty remains. And you're going to discover the evening review, a practice that prevents tomorrow's anxiety from taking root tonight. This is not motivation. This is method. The Stoics spent centuries refining these techniques. Emperors used them to govern. Soldiers used them to face death. Slaves used them to find freedom within bondage. The same tools are available to you right now, today. If you find this valuable, if these ideas start shifting something in how you think, Take a moment to subscribe, not for me, for yourself, so these teachings keep appearing in your feed, so this wisdom stays close. Now, let's begin with the most powerful mental tool the Stoics ever developed: the dichotomy of control. This single concept has transformed more lives than perhaps any other philosophical idea in history, and yet most people misunderstand it. Epictetus, the former slave who became one of history's greatest philosophers, opened his most famous work with these words: "Some things are within our power while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, our reputation, our office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing." Read that again in your mind. What is within your power? Your opinions, your motivations, your desires, your judgments, your choices, your actions. What is not within your power? Your body, ultimately, your possessions, what others think of you, your position in society, external outcomes of any kind. Now here's where most people go wrong. They hear this and think, so I should just not care about things I can't control. No, that's not it. The dichotomy of control is not about caring less. It's about focusing your mental energy where it can actually accomplish something. You can care deeply about your health while accepting that you don't control whether you get sick. You can care deeply about your relationships while accepting that you don't control how others feel. You can care deeply about your career while accepting that you don't control whether you get the promotion. The shift is not in caring. The shift is in where you direct your mental energy. Let's make this concrete. You have an important presentation tomorrow. Your mind is spinning. You're imagining everything that could go wrong. You're replaying past failures. You're worrying about what people will think. Apply the dichotomy. What is within your control? Your preparation. How much you practice tonight. The effort you put into understanding your material. The clarity of your slides. The words you choose. Your posture. Your breathing. What is not within your control? Whether the technology works, whether someone asks a question you don't know the answer to, how tired or attentive your audience is, what they ultimately think of you, whether this leads to the outcome you want. Now ask yourself, where is your mind spending its energy? If you're like most people, it's obsessing over the second category, the things you cannot control. And that obsession accomplishes exactly nothing except destroying your peace and probably making your actual preparation worse. The Stoic move is simple but radical. Every time you notice your mind wandering into uncontrollable territory, you gently redirect it. I don't control that. What do I control right now? Let me focus there. This is not suppression. You're not pretending the uncontrollables don't exist. You're simply refusing to waste mental energy on them. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Not because the future doesn't matter, but because the future is shaped by what you do now, and you can only do what's within your control. There are two common mistakes people make with the dichotomy of control. Let's address them directly. The first mistake is treating partial control as no control. Someone says, "I can't control whether I get the job, so why bother preparing?" Wrong. You can't control the outcome. You absolutely can control your preparation, your presentation, your follow-up. These influence the outcome even though they don't determine it. The Stoics made a crucial distinction here. They distinguished between what they called the target and the aim. Imagine an archer. The target is hitting the bullseye, but the aim, what the archer actually controls, is drawing the bow properly, accounting for the wind, releasing at the right moment. Once the arrow leaves the bow, the archer controls nothing. A gust of wind could redirect it. The target could move. The arrow could break. A wise archer focuses entirely on the aim, on doing everything within their power correctly. Then they release, and they accept whatever outcome follows. You control your actions. You do not control results. Focus on actions. Accept results. The second mistake is using this philosophy as an excuse for passivity. I can't control outcomes, so I won't try. This inverts the teaching entirely. The Stoics were not passive people. Marcus Aurelius ran an empire. Seneca was one of Rome's most prolific writers and engaged politicians. Epictetus built a school that influenced generations. They acted constantly, vigorously. They just didn't attach their peace of mind to results. The Stoics had a powerful metaphor for this practice. They called it the inner citadel. Imagine a fortress. Outside the walls, chaos reigns. Armies attack. Weather rages. Events unfold that you cannot predict or control. But inside the walls, there is a space that belongs entirely to you. Your judgments, your choices, your character, your response to whatever happens. This inner citadel cannot be invaded unless you open the gates. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you overthink, you have left your citadel. You have wandered outside the walls into territory you don't control, trying to manage armies and weather with your bare hands. The practice of Stoicism is learning to recognize when you've left and returning quickly. How do you know when you've left? Your emotions tell you. Anxiety about the future, you're outside the walls, trying to control what hasn't happened. Regret about the past, you're outside the walls, trying to change what's already fixed. Frustration with others, you're outside the walls, trying to control someone else's choices. These emotions are not problems to be suppressed. They are signals. They're telling you that your mind has wandered somewhere it doesn't belong. When you feel them, don't fight them, thank them. Then return to your citadel. Ask yourself, what right now is actually within my control? And focus there. Let's talk about Marcus Aurelius's morning practice. Every day, before facing the demands of ruling an empire, Marcus would prepare his mind. We know this because his journal entries often begin with morning reflections. One of his most famous passages reads, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil.'" At first, this might sound pessimistic. Who wants to start their day expecting the worst? But this is not pessimism. This is preparation. By acknowledging that difficult things will happen, Marcus removed their power to surprise him. He wasn't hoping for a perfect day and then being thrown off when problems arose. He was expecting challenges and preparing his response in advance. This is the opposite of overthinking. Overthinking says, "What if something bad happens? Let me imagine every possible scenario and worry about each one." Marcus's practice says, "Something difficult will definitely happen. I accept that. Now let me decide in advance how I'll respond." See the difference? One is endless speculation about possibilities. The other is practical preparation for certainties. Here's how you can implement this today. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you engage with the world, take 5 minutes. Acknowledge. Today, something will go wrong. Someone will frustrate me. Some plan will fail. This is normal. This is life. Then ask, when that happens, how will I respond? What will I focus on? What is within my control? This pre-decision is powerful. When the difficult moment actually arrives, you've already rehearsed your response. You don't have to overthink it. You've already done the thinking once productively. What Marcus practiced has a name: premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. This is one of the Stoics' most powerful techniques, and it directly attacks the root of overthinking. Here's how it works. Instead of vaguely worrying about what might go wrong, you deliberately imagine specific negative outcomes. Not to torture yourself, but to prepare yourself and, crucially, to realize you could handle it. Seneca described the practice in a letter to a friend. What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster. Nothing ought to be unexpected by us. Our minds should be sent forward in advance to meet all problems, and we should consider not what is usual, but what can happen. The chronic overthinker worries vaguely. Their anxiety has no specific target. It just loops endlessly, generating fear without resolution. The Stoic takes control. What specifically am I afraid of? Let me name it. Now, let me imagine it happening. What would I do? How would I cope? When you follow this to its conclusion, something remarkable happens. You realize that even the worst-case scenario is survivable. You've faced hard things before. You would adapt. You would find a way. The fear comes from the vagueness, from the unnamed monster hiding in the fog. When you drag it into the light and look at it directly, it shrinks. Seneca again. He who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. This is productive thinking, one focused session of imagining the worst, then releasing it. Not endless looping, not vague dread, specific preparation followed by acceptance. Seneca wrote more about anxiety and worry than perhaps any ancient philosopher. His letters are filled with practical advice for the chronically overthinking mind. One of his most powerful observations: we are in the habit of exaggerating or imagining or anticipating sorrow. Notice those three words: exaggerating, imagining, anticipating. The overthinker does all three constantly. Something small happens, and the mind exaggerates it into catastrophe. Someone doesn't respond to a message, and suddenly, the relationship is over. One mistake at work, and you're about to be fired. Something hasn't happened yet, and the mind imagines it in vivid detail, creating elaborate scenarios of failure, rejection, disaster. None of it real. All of it felt as if it were real. Something might happen in the future, and the mind starts anticipating it now, living through the pain before it arrives, suffering twice or 100 times instead of once or not at all. Seneca's advice was direct. There are more things likely to frighten us than there are to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. How many of your worries have actually materialized? Think about it. Over the last year, how many hours did you spend worrying, and how many of those worried about scenarios actually happened? For most people, the hit rate is staggeringly low. 90% or more of what we worry about never occurs. You spent the mental energy anyway. You paid the anxiety tax, but the disaster never came. What if you could stop paying that tax on imaginary troubles? The two most dangerous words for an overthinker. What if? What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I make the wrong choice? What if something terrible happens? The mind can generate an infinite number of what ifs, and each one feels urgent. Each one demands analysis. Each one spawns 3 more. This is the trap. The Stoics had a counter-question. So what? Not dismissively, genuinely. What if I fail? So what? What would actually happen? I would be disappointed. I would learn something. I would try again or try something else. What if they reject me? So what? I would feel hurt for a time. And then I would recover as I have recovered from every other hurt. What if I make the wrong choice? So what? Every choice closes some doors and opens others. There is rarely one right path. You adjust. You adapt. Following the what if to its conclusion with so what accomplishes 2 things. First, It forces you to articulate the actual feared outcome instead of leaving it vague. Vague fears are always larger than specific ones. Second, it reminds you that you've survived every challenge you've ever faced. A 100% survival rate so far. The odds are in your favor. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Future, you will handle future problems. That's not a hope, that's a track record. Your only job is to handle present problems. And most of the time, in the present moment, there is no actual problem. Just a mind spinning stories about problems that don't exist yet." Let's make an important distinction. The goal is not to stop thinking. That's neither possible nor desirable. The goal is to recognize the difference between productive and destructive thinking. Productive thinking leads somewhere. It solves problems. It generates ideas. It creates plans. It clarifies understanding. You know productive thinking by its fruit. When you're done, something has changed. A decision is clearer. A solution has emerged. An insight has arrived. Destructive thinking, overthinking, loops endlessly without producing anything. You think and think and think, and at the end you're exactly where you started. Except now, you're exhausted and anxious. Here's a practical test. Ask yourself, is this thinking taking me somewhere, or am I covering the same ground repeatedly? If you've thought the same thought more than 3 times without it producing anything new, you're no longer thinking. You're looping. The Stoics had a practice for this. When you catch yourself in a loop, you stop and write down what you're thinking. Just a few sentences. This does 2 things. First, it externalizes the thought, gets it out of your head and onto paper where you can see it clearly. Thoughts in the mind feel enormous. On paper, they often shrink. Second, it forces articulation. Vague anxiety becomes specific concerns, and specific concerns can be addressed. Vague anxiety just floats. Marcus Aurelius's meditations were exactly this practice. He wasn't writing for publication. He was writing to think clearly, to stop loops, to see his own mind. Overthinking has a peculiar quality. It is almost never about the present moment. It's about the past, what already happened and cannot be changed. Or it's about the future, what hasn't happened and may never happen. But right now, in this actual moment, there is usually no problem. Seneca understood this deeply. He wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." This is not about being short-sighted or ignoring consequences. It's about recognizing where life actually happens. Life happens now, only now. The past is memory. The future is imagination. Only the present is real. And in the present, right now, you are probably fine. Are you in physical danger right now? Almost certainly not. Is there a problem that requires immediate action right now? Usually not. Then what are you worried about? A story your mind is telling about something that isn't happening. The Stoics practiced bringing attention back to the present constantly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Not because the past doesn't matter, not because the future is unimportant, but because you can only act now. You can only think usefully about what you can do now. When you catch yourself overthinking, ask, what is actually happening right now? Not what happened yesterday, not what might happen tomorrow, right now. Usually the answer is, nothing. I'm sitting here, I'm breathing, there is no emergency. That realization, simple as it seems, can break a thought loop instantly. Here's a practical technique drawn from Epictetus' teaching on impressions. When you notice a thought that's causing distress, put it on trial. Ask 3 questions. First, is this thought true? Not does it feel true or could it be true, but is there actual evidence? If your mind says everyone thinks I'm a failure, where's the proof? Have you surveyed everyone? Or is this a story you're telling yourself? Second, is this thought useful? Even if a thought contains some truth, ask whether thinking it helps you. If you made a mistake yesterday, is endlessly replaying it making you better? Or is it just making you miserable while changing nothing? Third, is this thought necessary right now? Sometimes thinking about difficult things is necessary. Planning for challenges is wise. But does it need to happen at 2 in the morning? While you're trying to enjoy dinner with family? Right now, in this moment? Many thoughts that feel urgent can be postponed. You can literally say, I'll think about this tomorrow at 10 a.m. for 20 minutes. Schedule your worrying. Give it a specific time. Then when it arises outside that time, remind yourself, not now, that's scheduled. This might sound strange, but it works remarkably well. The mind often just wants to be heard. When you promise to address a concern at a specific time, the urgency decreases, the loop releases. Try it. Pick a recurring worry, assign it a time, see what happens. Now let's talk about one of overthinking's favorite territories: decisions. Should I take the job? Should I end the relationship? Should I move? Should I speak up? Should I wait? The overthinker researches endlessly, considers every angle, seeks more opinions, waits for certainty, and often ends up making no decision at all, which is itself a decision, usually the worst one. The Stoics approach decisions very differently. First, they recognize that certainty is impossible. You cannot know how any choice will unfold. Life is too complex. Variables are too numerous. Seneca wrote, "We live not according to reason, but according to fashion. How long shall we fail to trust to our own wisdom?" At some point, you have enough information. More research is just procrastination dressed as prudence. Second, they focused on the quality of their decision-making process, not the outcome. You control how you decide, the care you take, the values you apply, the logic you follow. You don't control what happens after. A good decision can lead to a bad outcome. A bad decision can lead to a good outcome. Life is like that. What you control is making the best decision you can with the information available. Third, they committed fully once the decision was made. Seneca again. No wind blows in favor of a ship without a destination. Half-hearted commitment makes any choice worse. If you've decided, decide. Stop revisiting. Stop second-guessing. Give your decision a real chance to work. The practical rule: set a deadline for decisions. I will decide by Friday. When Friday comes, decide, then burn the boats, move forward, stop looking back. Perfectionism is overthinking's best friend. The perfectionist cannot act until conditions are perfect. The plan is perfect. The timing is perfect. They are perfect. So they wait and analyze and prepare and refine forever. Meanwhile, life passes, opportunities close. Nothing actually gets done. The Stoics had no patience for this. They were relentlessly practical. They acted. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Death hangs over you. While you live, while you can, become good." There is an urgency here, not anxious urgency, philosophical urgency. Your time is limited. You do not know how limited. Waiting for perfection means waiting forever. The Stoics distinguished between excellence and perfection. Excellence means doing your best with what you have, given your constraints. It's achievable. It's within your control. Perfection means an impossible ideal where nothing could be better. It's unachievable. It's outside your control. Aim for excellence. Accept imperfection. A completed project with flaws teaches you more than a perfect project that never ships. A relationship with normal conflicts gives you more than an imagined perfect relationship that you never pursue because no one seems good enough. Seneca offered a practical test. It is not that we have a short space of time, but that we waste much of it. How much time have you wasted waiting for conditions that will never arrive? The conditions are good enough now. You are good enough now. The Stoics would tell you, act imperfectly today. Here's something the Stoics understood that modern psychology has confirmed. Action is one of the most effective cures for overthinking. When you act, you break the loop. Think about the last time you were dreading something. A difficult conversation, a challenging task, a feared situation. The anticipation was terrible. Your mind cycled through scenarios. You imagined disasters. You rehearsed failures. And then you did the thing. And it was probably fine, maybe even good. Almost certainly not as bad as you imagined. The doing dissolved the dread. Action created information that speculation could never provide. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." Stop thinking about doing, do. Stop analyzing the right approach. Try an approach. Stop preparing to start. Start. The Stoics called this putting philosophy into practice. Ideas are worthless without action. Understanding is incomplete without application. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." When you find yourself trapped in thought, ask, what is one small action I can take right now? It doesn't have to be the perfect action. It doesn't have to be the complete solution. It just has to be something. Movement. Progress. Action creates momentum. Momentum defeats paralysis. Paralysis is where overthinking lives. The Stoics developed a powerful technique for dealing with overwhelming thoughts: becoming the observer. Here's the idea. Normally, you are so identified with your thoughts that you believe you are your thoughts. A thought arises and you say, "I am worried, I am angry, I am afraid." But the Stoics recognize something crucial. There is a part of you that can watch your thoughts without being swept away by them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Observe your thoughts. Don't let them carry you away." This is the observer. When a disturbing thought arises, instead of engaging with it, becoming it, arguing with it, you can step back and simply watch it. There's a thought about failure. There's worry about tomorrow. There's that familiar story about not being good enough. Notice the shift. You're not saying "I'm failing" or "I'm worried." You're observing that a thought about failure or worry has appeared. This creates distance, space, room to breathe. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear. And that awareness can choose which thoughts to engage and which to let pass. The practice is simple but requires repetition. When you notice you're overthinking, pause. Take a breath. Then watch your thoughts as if they were clouds passing through a sky. You don't have to chase the clouds. You don't have to push them away. You just watch. They arise. They pass. Some thoughts are worth engaging. Many are not. The observer in you can tell the difference. Let me introduce you to Musonius Rufus. He was one of the most influential Stoic teachers, yet he remains less famous than his student Epictetus. His approach was intensely practical. Musonius emphasized one thing above all: training. He believed that philosophy was not just about understanding ideas, but about practicing them until they became second nature. He said, "We will become excellent if we practice excellence and virtue. Therefore, let us practice saying what should be said, doing what should be done, and refraining from what should be avoided." Applied to overthinking, this means the goal is not just to understand the techniques we've discussed, but to practice them until they become automatic. The first time you try to apply the dichotomy of control, it will feel awkward, forced. You'll slip back into old patterns quickly. This is normal. Just as you wouldn't expect to play piano beautifully after one lesson, you shouldn't expect to master your mind after one attempt. Musonius would say, practice. Every day. Not perfectly, just consistently. When you catch yourself overthinking, don't berate yourself for failing. Congratulate yourself for noticing, then apply what you've learned. Over time, the noticing happens faster. The recovery happens faster. The loops get shorter. Eventually, what required effort becomes natural. This is the goal. Not perfection, but progress. Not immediate transformation, but gradual training. Let's get concrete. Here are practical exercises you can start using today. Exercise 1. The morning preparation. Before you engage with the world each morning, take 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what is within my control today? My effort, my attitude, my choices, my responses. Then ask, what is not within my control today? Others' actions, external outcomes, events in the world. Finally, decide. I will focus my energy on what I control. I will accept what I cannot. This pre-commitment shapes your entire day. When challenges arise, you've already decided how to categorize them. Exercise 2. The thought audit. Set 3 random alarms throughout your day. When they go off, pause and notice what you're thinking about. Is this thought about something within your control? Is it productive? Is it about the present? If yes, continue. If no, gently redirect. This builds awareness. Most people have no idea how much of their day is consumed by useless thinking. The audit reveals the pattern. Exercise 3. The worry window. Pick a specific time each day, maybe 15 minutes in the afternoon, and designate it as your worry time. When worries arise outside this window, write them down and promise your mind you'll address them during worry time. When worry time comes, review your list. Most items will have resolved or lost their urgency. Address what remains, then stop. This contains the worrying instead of letting it leak across your entire day. Exercise 4. The control sort. When you feel overwhelmed by a situation, grab a piece of paper. Draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write everything about this situation that you control. Be specific. On the right side, write everything you don't control. Again, be specific. Then make a commitment. I will act on the left column. I will accept the right column. This simple act of sorting often immediately reduces anxiety. The right column is no longer your problem. The left column gives you clear action steps. Exercise 5. The what if, so what ladder. When a worry won't release, follow it to its conclusion. What if this goes wrong? Then what happens? And if that happens, then what? Keep going until you hit bottom, the absolute worst case. Then ask, could I survive that? could I adapt? Almost always, the answer is yes. The bottom is survivable, and recognizing that takes away the fear. Exercise 6. The perspective zoom. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself of the vastness of time and space to put his concerns in perspective. When you're caught in overthinking, zoom out. Will this matter in 5 years? Will you even remember it? Consider all the humans who have ever lived, all the civilizations that have risen and fallen. Your problem, however real it feels, is a tiny ripple in an infinite ocean. This is not minimizing your experience, it's contextualizing it. And context often dissolves the illusion of emergency. Now let's talk about ending your day. The Stoics considered the evening review essential. Seneca described his practice in detail. When the light has been taken away and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and retrace my actions and words. I hide nothing from myself. I pass over nothing. This is not self-criticism. It's not beating yourself up for mistakes. It's honest review, learning, growth. Here's how you can implement it. Each night before sleep, take 10 minutes. Ask 3 questions. First, what did I do well today? Acknowledge your efforts, your good choices, moments when you responded rather than reacted, times you focused on what you could control. Second, what could I have done better? Not with judgment, with curiosity. Where did you slip into old patterns? Where did you waste energy on things outside your control? What would you do differently next time? Third, what did I learn? Every day teaches something if you're paying attention. What did today show you about yourself, about life, about what matters? This practice serves 2 purposes for overthinkers. First, it provides closure. The day has been reviewed. Lessons have been extracted. You can let it go. No need to replay it endlessly in bed. Second, it builds wisdom over time. Small daily improvements compound. A year of evening reviews produces a dramatically wiser person. Seneca concluded his nightly practice with peace. My sleep, which follows this self-examination, is particularly sweet. Process the day, learn from the day, then release the day. Tomorrow is its own opportunity. Let me introduce another Stoic voice, Chrysippus. He was one of the most prolific philosophers in ancient history, said to have written over 700 works. He shaped Stoic logic and ethics more than perhaps anyone else. Chrysippus offered a powerful metaphor for understanding what we control. Imagine a dog tied to a moving cart. The cart will move regardless of what the dog does. That's fate. External circumstances. Events outside our control. The dog has 2 choices. It can resist. Pull against the rope, strain and struggle, and still be dragged forward anyway, now exhausted and distressed. Or it can walk alongside the cart, accept the direction while choosing how to travel, still attached but not suffering. This is the Stoic position. Life will take you where it will take you. You can resist, overthink, rage against events you cannot change, and be dragged forward miserable. Or you can accept the direction while mastering your response. Focus on the walking, not the rope. Overthinkers often spend enormous energy fighting the cart, analyzing why it moves, wishing it went differently, imagining alternative carts. The cart doesn't care, it moves. The wise person aligns with necessity, conserves their energy for what they actually control: their steps, their posture, their attitude on the journey. What cart is dragging you right now? What are you resisting that you cannot change? At the root of most overthinking lies one uncomfortable truth. Life is uncertain. And your brain hates uncertainty. It would rather have a certain negative than an uncertain unknown. So it thinks and thinks, trying to eliminate uncertainty, trying to predict, trying to prepare for every possibility. But uncertainty cannot be eliminated. It is the nature of existence. Marcus Aurelius reflected on this constantly. He wrote, "How ridiculous and how strange to be surprised at anything which happens in life." The Stoics didn't fight uncertainty. They accepted it. And in accepting it, they found peace. Here's the truth your overthinking mind doesn't want to hear. You cannot think your way to certainty. No amount of analysis will tell you the future. No amount of preparation guarantees outcomes. This is not pessimism. This is liberation. If certainty is impossible, you can stop trying to achieve it. You can make the best decision you can with available information. Act. And accept that the outcome is not your business. Seneca was direct. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. The change is not external. You cannot rearrange circumstances until they're safe. They never will be. The change is internal. Accepting uncertainty, making peace with not knowing, trusting yourself to handle whatever comes. This is the Stoic way, not pretending uncertainty doesn't exist, but stopping the futile battle against it. Overthinking often comes from comparison. You look at others and they seem so certain, so confident, so free from the mental loops that trap you. But this is an illusion. You compare your interior, every doubt and fear and cycle of thought, to their exterior, which reveals nothing of their inner world. Marcus Aurelius, outwardly the most powerful man in the world, struggled with his own mind constantly. That's why he needed a journal. That's why he wrote page after page about managing his thoughts. Everyone struggles. The people you are, the people who seem to have it together, they overthink too. They worry, they doubt, they loop. They just don't show it. And neither do you. Epictetus taught, "Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace." The same applies to comparisons. Don't hope to be free from mental struggle like you imagine others are. They aren't. Accept that struggle is part of being human. Learn to work with your mind rather than wishing you had someone else's. Your mind is the tool you have. It may be prone to overthinking. Fine. The Stoics would say, work with what is. Train this mind, not some fantasy mind. This one. The great irony is that by accepting your mind's tendencies, you actually gain more power over them. Resistance creates persistence. Acceptance opens the door to change. The Stoics understood something that modern psychology calls neuroplasticity. What you practice, you strengthen. Your brain physically changes based on what it repeatedly does. Neural pathways that fire together wire together. This means every time you overthink, you make overthinking easier next time. You're training your brain to loop. But it also means every time you catch yourself and redirect, you're building a new pathway, training your brain toward freedom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What thoughts are you coloring your soul with? If you spend hours daily in worry, your mind becomes worry-colored. That becomes your default state. If you spend hours daily in presence, in focus on what you control, in productive thinking, your mind becomes dyed those colors instead. The practice matters. The repetition matters. Not because you need to be perfect, but because what you repeat becomes what you are. Musonius Rufus taught that philosophy must be lived daily. As physicians have their tools and scalpels always at hand to meet every sudden need of their craft, so should you have your principles always in readiness. Principles ready at hand means principles practiced until they're automatic. When overthinking strikes, you don't have time to remember the dichotomy of control from scratch. It needs to be there, available, practiced so often it arises naturally. What are you feeding? What pathways are you strengthening? Choose deliberately. Let's address overthinking about the past specifically. Regret. Rumination. Replaying what happened and imagining how it could have been different. The Stoics had a harsh truth here. The past cannot be changed. Not by thinking about it. Not by wishing. Not by analyzing. It is fixed. Seneca put it simply, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." This might sound bleak, but there's freedom in it. If something cannot be changed, then struggling against it is wasted energy. The rational response is acceptance. This doesn't mean not learning from mistakes. The Stoics were great believers in learning. That's what the evening review is for. But learning is different from ruminating. Learning says, "What happened? What can I do differently next time?" Good lesson extracted, moving on. Ruminating says, "What happened? Why did it happen? It shouldn't have happened. If only I had. But I didn't. Why didn't I? It shouldn't have happened." on and on in circles. One extracts value and moves forward. The other just generates suffering with no benefit. When you catch yourself ruminating about the past, ask, have I learned what there is to learn here? Is continued thinking producing new insights? Or am I just suffering for no reason? The past has given what it has to give. Take the lesson. Leave the rest. We keep returning to this because it's so important. The present moment is all you have. Marcus Aurelius hammered this point repeatedly. He wrote, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." And confine yourself to the present. And give yourself a gift, the present moment. Why such emphasis? Because the present is where life happens. It's where action is possible. It's where peace can be found. Overthinking pulls you out of the present, into past regret, into future worry, anywhere but here. But here is the only place you can actually do anything. Here's a practice. When you notice you've been pulled into past or future, ground yourself in immediate sensory experience. What do you see right now? Really see it. Colors, shapes, light. What do you hear right now? The hum of machinery, distant voices, your own breath. What do you feel physically? Your feet on the floor, the temperature of the air, tension in your shoulders. This isn't escape from thinking. It's return to reality, the reality of now, which is all there is. Seneca. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. The present moment is usually fine. Problems exist in memory and imagination. Right now, in this breath, there's peace available. Come back to now, again and again. This is the practice.